New day, new week, new month, back on the scooter, back in the office. Good Monday morning, YouTube. Back in the office on the Monday. Guys, that is a little bit early too, so pardon if I'm a little bit crazy and out there and whatever. Just ran back home to grab my camera and grab a little dongle that I need for my MacBook. One of the downsides. If you have your MacBook, it's not too bad though. Anyway, let's go get some coffee going. So, one thing about being on the road, we have no milk and not a lot of other stuff to make coffee. Let's improvise. First up, start with some Italy's favorite coffee here, Lavazza or something like that. 365 organic salted caramel sauce. And potentially some caramel syrup from Starbucks. Let's see how that turns out. Definitely interesting. I think that turned out pretty well actually. I used that Italian kind of smoother, lighter coffee than that super dark stuff I usually use, French roast or whatever. Turned out pretty good with the caramel and whatever, despite not having any milk. So, the gist of what I need to get done here in the office this morning is getting some of the vlogs up. This is Wednesday's vlog, if I remember correctly, so I'm a bit behind for sure. These antique store editing jobs take a little while. Anyway, also answer a lot of questions, and I know dealers packing like 35 orders just from Kangai alone over the last couple days here. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. Messages, questions. Vlog for Wednesday is edited, questions are answered. Let's figure out what is the goal for this week. I think the main goal, early on at least, is to get what is left in my office, that is camera stuff, watches, all that kind of stuff listed up. We have yet to get in the batteries for the watches. Those should be coming in with Tuesday's mail thing. That was on hold obviously for 10 days, so I'm sure it's here already. Let's first jump into a few camera items over here that are just kind of oddball and have been sitting around. Probably take me a little bit to get back into the swing of things, but I have a feeling it shouldn't be too difficult. One thing that I need to think about too, actually, is my June listing incentive. One thing that I actually had the money to do and was going to buy right away was this Carbon GT electric skateboard here, right at $2,200. And basically I bought this lens over here, so now I'm a little bit hesitant to drop another bit of money on that. So I think the way I'm going to go about buying this is actually setting it as a June listing incentive. Haven't fleshed it all out yet, but I'm going to figure out exactly how many listings I want to get done or other thing like that. And then if I achieve that, I buy the skateboard. So that's probably how it's going to go. I think it really is a smarter course, first of all, to think about stuff you're going to buy, and secondly, just kind of, I don't know exactly what you call it, but save your money for a little while. If you have enough of the time, don't spend it right there. Make more, and then spend the money you made on that. Definitely have a little bit different dispensable income, what do they call that? I don't know. Just, I have a little bit different spending whatever than most people because I don't have a lot of expenses or anything else like that. So, that's just one of my ways I'm working on saving, and I think it worked pretty well. Should be a good incentive though, that would be cool to get that. So, first up on the chopping block to list is this thing. Burl high resolution CCD camera, but we're not looking at the camera today, we're looking at the lens that is on the end of there. If I take you over here into the inventory room, or the inventory storage I should say, you can see some of these lenses that are out of these. Basically, these are very standard lenses in an autofocus enclosure, as that thing is. We have those two listed there, right around the $120 mark. They actually haven't been selling very well recently, so I just went back and repriced those. They were the $200 mark, so now I put them down a little bit further. And now I'm going to take this one out of there and get that one listed as well. Let's see how I do that. See if I can get a usable angle like that. Move a couple things out of the way here too. And let's figure out how to deconstruct this thing. Ooh, there's a big piece of ground glass. Be careful with all this stuff on my table here. Okay, first step, I think I need to remove the mounting plate here, which holds the whole thing together securely. That seems to use something that would probably be best removed with a socket of some sort. So let's see if I have one that fits. 12's pretty close. It's probably an inch-sized metric. 7/16, there you go. See if I can find a socket driver that fits that. I don't think I have one. So let's just try hand tightening it with that. Might work. Yep, and it will. There you go. Mounting plate just holds the camera to the lens for a little bit extra support, so the lens isn't just flopping all about. The reason I didn't list this one before is because it wasn't mounted down to this thing. Didn't really want to deal with it at the time. I had other stuff to list. So this kind of got set aside. And there comes the mounting plate off of there. And actually that was probably just a tripod mount, because there's another mounting plate. One to remove the lens. And the camera screws it seems on the side, so let's get that off there too. Not a great angle here, but a big old Phillips head screwdriver should be able to work with that. Man, that's going to be in there pretty tight seams. Let's see here. Best way to get some leverage on this thing would be... We want to strip the Phillips head, so let's see if I have a bigger Phillips head screwdriver even. That's a big one there. Let's go grab this one that I brought along on the trip, which is actually a multi-driver, and see if that one works a little bit better. Just need a secure fit in that little slot there. Maybe. Yeah, that one seems to just a little bit better. Oh, that's on there tight. Exactly how somebody screwed that on there. Well, let's see if we can remove the enclosure without taking it off there. That's the second option. Eventually we'll have to take it off there, so I guess I'll figure that out at the time. Let's take out the screws in the lens barrel here. A little bit of trial and error, but it's not the worst thing to do. Usually you have to remove the electronics from it, and then it's just a normal old lens. This one looks about 6 Phillips head screws, and the thing should come right out of there. Is it necessary to remove it from the enclosure? Probably not. You could sell it as is like that, but the way we sell stuff, a little bit different. I tend to take stuff out and sell it as a somewhat prepped, repurposable lens, which in this case, that's what I'm going to do here. Remove it from the enclosure. It's ready to mount to a different type of camera for somebody who's going to repurpose it. Unfortunately, this thing is going to be a problem right here, this tripod screw at the bottom. Let's just unscrew the camera from there and see if that does it. It might help. Like, I'm not going to get the mount and everything for this. Somebody else can do that on their own time. But I will get ready to mount to the mount. Which is a standard C-mount, so that does make it easier for people to work with. I have some C-mount adapters I can test this thing out on too, and I might try those out. The CCTV camera lenses generally will not cover a normal size image sensor, so you will have to use a smaller one. Generally, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera is this small little cinema camera, and that's what's used with this type of lens. Okay, so that loosen that off a bit. Let's see if I can get to unscrew off of there. Would be the best way to go about it. Like that, I think. Okay, so this is one of those ones here that is not exactly a screw mount. It actually has a multi/interchangeable mount on it. Figure out how that's going to work. Let's pull the plug on here. There you go. That's probably another reason I didn't deal with it before. So let's see if I can move it from the housing here further. It should be nearly ready to go with those couple screws out. The reason people want these kind of lenses in this day and age, like I said, is for repurposing, but why would they want to repurpose this lens to just buying a new one? First of all, cost, but secondly, these really do have some unattainable or just never mass-produced focal lengths and aperture combinations that are really oddball. Like this one here is a 15 to 180 millimeter f1.9, which, if you know anything about camera lenses, that is a very good low light / hard to find focal length combination. Not a lot of zoom lenses were made with that kind of fast maximum aperture, 1.9. These were made for TV use and CCTV cameras after that, so lots of them exist out there, but not everybody knows where to find them. Let's see if I can pull this out of here now. I wonder if I need to take this bottom thing off. I don't think so. Oh, no, that's not coming out anytime soon. That thing's in there. You could probably break the head off of it, but I'll wait for a minute before I try that. Okay, well, it's almost loose from there, so I need to figure out how to get these in there a little bit further, I think. There you go. Let's twist them out. There's 2 little screws that were coming in from the base plate into here, and I snapped those. So now I just need to unscrew the rest of the thread here, and this thing should slide right out. And there you go. It wasn't the hardest thing there, but it wasn't super easy either. This should pull right out. There you go. Another thing I need to do there, pull the C-mount off of the camera. That should go back on there, and then it should be a normal mounting. Okay, so next step, need to pull all this electronic hardware stuff off of there. That should probably just take a little bit of trial and error, screwing and unscrewing a few things. Should all come right off. There we go. Focusing is loose. Let's remove this top piece here. Different screwdriver. Definitely is something you call the point of no return with these kind of lenses, and I've definitely passed that at this point, so hopefully this all works out. It does seem to be a pretty fairly normal lens, which does vary from lens to lens. You just never know really until you take it apart. Let's just finish getting this one disassembled here. Certainly not an expert in these TV lenses, so this is kind of an interesting experiment for me. Just kind of goofing around with it and seeing what works and what doesn't. Unfortunately for this one's going to be kind of an odd case, because it does have electronically controlled aperture, which if you know what that means, aperture generally has a ring here which sets how light or dark the scene is. If it's electronically controlled, it means you kind of have to prop it open. There's a mechanical control, but it's inside the electronic thing there. So that's going to be interesting to figure out. And here's the electronic aperture unit. Basically, the mechanical lever is right here to open and close the aperture, so that can be accessed by somebody who wants to do it. Basically just the rear part of the lens. I will have to figure out how to list this so that that is represented. So the way I'm going to have to deal with this, I'll probably keep it open like that so it can be used, and I'll mention that the aperture lever is in there, and if you want to set it, you can set it, screw it back together, take it apart, set it again. It's just how it is on some of these lenses, and that is how this one is. Little quirk with it, somebody will deal with it. I'm going to take a small piece of electrical tape and tape it in place there, and also tape up the hole so that it doesn't have any light leaks. These aren't very experimental lenses, but if you're willing to experiment with them, people are willing to, and we sell them like that. But you definitely want to make sure the listing alludes that these are experimental lenses, or very clearly states, I should say, because you don't want the wrong person buying these thinking that they're going to get a something super cool lens for nothing thing, so you gotta make sure they know what they're buying when you're selling a lens such as this one. Not super pretty, but gets the job of light sealing done there. Let's go and test this on my other camera and see if I can shoot a video through it. Talk about the characteristics of this lens a little bit. So I have a couple different camera candidates of trying to test this lens. This one here is probably the most usable, though it will have some vignetting in the corners because this lens was designed for a smaller sensor. Let's try and screw this little mount adapter on there and mount it on there. Try it out. So definitely pardon the lack of image stabilization here, but we are on this camera. It's actually the longest focal length on this lens, wide open, and as you can see, a bit of vignetting on there. Definitely at the wider end, you'll definitely get more. Not a parfocal lens. Unfortunately, a parfocal lens means when I zoom out, the focus will stay the same, which in this case is definitely not the case. When I zoom in here, you can see that's pretty much in focus. If I zoom out a little bit, have to refocus. Which in this case, this will actually not even focus quite close enough unless you have the right mount. Which, let's see what the shortest one it'll focus at. There you go. Comes to focus right about there. So as you can see, when I zoom all the way out, at the super wide angle, you can actually see it's focusing super macro. So right on the lens there, and you can see it also has heavy vignetting. Very common with these lenses. This is an experimental lens, will be sold as such, and would be good to use on like a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, like I said, for some interesting shots, mainly for the variable of the zoom and the fast aperture on it. Let's get that pictured and listed up. As you can see, that's the handheld setup there. Probably about a 4-pound lens, not horrible. And as you can see through the camera there, it's actually still going. Anyway, I'll do a little bit dust cleaning on the front here, and then I'll take some pictures and get that listed. It'll definitely be sold as an experimental lens, probably around the $80 to $100 range, just because of the odd focal length and all. Somebody will be interested and willing to work with that a little bit. So I took a few different test sample photos with this lens here, and I had to use this other camera because actually it's a shutter button. If you notice my video one here, doesn't have a shutter button, it does a touch shutter, so you can actually take pictures with this lens, but needs to have contact. So anyway, had to use that one. Got an interesting wide angle shot here of that kind of thing, but I was looking for experimental things. I'll definitely show you them on the computer. That's what I do. Lots of experimentation. Put about probably 30 minutes into listing this lens, but it's kind of stuff that I enjoy, and this is one reason though that I put it off for a little while, but it's just about ready to go. Let's get up. Definitely not on my short list, but definitely on my long list of lenses to buy is actually a wide angle macro lens, and this is the reason. That is a pretty cool perspective you have there. That's not exactly like the perfect shot, but this is with a 1980s TV zoom lens. So anyway, there is the straight on camera shot. I have a couple other ones here that tested different focal lengths. This is at full zoom right here. So anyway, get those edited very minorly and get those uploaded to the listing. Okay, so all I did here, basically I'm going to upload 2 versions of the samples, one minorly edited and one straight out of the camera. Here are the minorly edited ones. As you can see, a little bit of sharpening and a few other things there, a little bit of cropping. Here are the photos of the lens. Those will also go on the listing, obviously. Let's get that up and going. Okay, so that lens over there is listed, and on to the next batch. Just a bunch of miscellaneous stuff here. I have an Ulta little Highmatic S camera, and let's just click through these here. Nikon filter case. This one's actually better than I thought. Probably $50 case. And a Canon flash coupler L, and this random lens thing here. Just working through what's left over there. Miscellaneous and random things. Well, around 3:30 p.m. here, and second vlog for the day edited. Probably second and only vlog that's going to be edited today. I might add one more later tonight. We'll see how I feel. Anyway, next up here, I have some watch lots. These are 2 Timex men's military watches, super tiny. Camera's not focusing. These are fancy women's watches, easy read women's watches of various ages. These are men's watches, automatic / electric. These are, let's see, some other various women's watches, older women's Timex watches. Has some other bigger lots here of various watches too. Let's figure out how to get those lined up and listed. Also, this all came out of my suitcase. I'm pretty sure I'm just going to kind of push it back in there for a minute at least to clear up desk space. Those are the 4 items I've listed so far. Kind of slow today, but that's about how it is. Kind of readjusting back into the office. Feels kind of strange. Okay, so I've not been vlogging a lot this afternoon, and actually it's almost supper time here, so I'm going to be heading home shortly. I have a few different watch lots listed there, one more to go. Let's head home and possibly get some scooter clips. I actually want to try out this thing here. I have this fancy selfie stick. I want to try that on my GoPro, maybe some skateboarding or something. We'll see. Okay, well, no clue how the selfie stick turned out there. May not even be a usable footage. It's really hard to skate with it. Okay, have that. Unexpected. Sort of that. Everything's super sketchy. Back to work. Out of practice. I don't know how these selfie stick things work. Okay, back in the office here, got that one more lot of Timex watches listed there. I think I'm going to look at this table, kind of condense it down, and figure out what I have next to list here. Get that going. Actually just decided, looked over here, that's what I'm listing. Basically, the couple pieces that are going to sell out here, mainly the lens, and I'm going to research and figure out what else sells. If I had to guess, this focusing helicoid mount right here is going to be worth some money. Okay, well, a couple different ways I could go about this here. I could just sell the lens, or I could sell some other parts here, but the way I decided to do it, I took off this filter here, which should sell pretty well, the slide carrier and the lens, and this thing I could have disassembled a little bit more. Basically, you take this piece off here, the focusing helicoid, and there's actually a condenser lens in there you can take out too, but instead, I'm just going to sell that whole unit there. It doesn't weigh a lot, should ship pretty easy, and that should go pretty well. So let's get those listed up. Have the photos of them right here. Go through those for a minute. There's a slide carrier, lens, and all that stuff here. Should be all good. Let's get up and listed. Okay, so going through some more wristwatch lots here. These are all supposed to be parts lots. Probably gonna sell these all a lot. Just look at a couple of them here. If I zoom in here to where you can actually see it. This is actually a Bulova, ladies Bulova from 1933. There's a couple of interesting features on it that I noticed right away. First up, pop my finger in there correctly. Yep, that's the hinge there on the bottom. So if I pop it like this, it actually opens up to be a display case back, which is kind of cool. And then you pop it out further if you want to see the movement and all that. This one does not run, but I'm pretty sure I'll actually sell it separately. Just looking at some here that did sell for you to fix here. 20 bucks, 20, 32, 64. They seem to be very desirable. So I think this one will sell by itself. Okay, so one thing I did not mention today is actually what my goal is for the week. I usually do that on Mondays, kind of got a rhythm there. As you can see, I'm also picturing a bunch of watches here, but basically the goal for the week is to get all the stuff on that table back there going and listed. And once I do that, it's time to hit the stuff in the back room. Of course, getting that stuff going includes listing these watches that I ordered the batteries for, so that's going to be a whole thing in itself. Hopefully I can knock down the next couple days, next few days, a couple good days of listing, and I should have it done, but that's the goal for the week. Trying to get to the new stuff. Woo! Man, just going through a vlog here, which I think this was the Friday vlog. I was low on sleep, low on coffee, a few other things there. Man, those vlogs kind of went downhill there a little bit, at least with the enthusiasm and the crazy stuff there, but I guess I gotta get them edited, get them up. This is a daily vlog after all. Okay, next batch of photos edited here. A few Seiko watches for parts, a Lady Elgin for parts, Lady Elgin, Bulova, vintage one I showed you there, and then just a bunch of different lots of various watches. Fancy ones, a little bit less fancy ones, mostly women's watches, some Disney watches here too. And I guess that's what I'm getting listed here before we leave for the night. Well, I'm sure you saw the randomness and chaos on Dealer's channel if you're over there, but this is my weird watch headdress. So anyway, click the link there if you want to go to his channel and his video. Pretty much done for the night. Deja vu, I just been